Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers. And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2022. It is August the 2nd. I am Dave Bryan, and joining me again, as always, Alex Kozora, fresh off of yet another trip, his sixth one to Saint Vincent College in Latrobe to observe, easy for me to say, training, all these days run together, observe training camp practices. Alex, happy Tuesday. Are you chippy today?
Not as chippy as they were on the field. You talk about some, you expect camp fights. You're going to get that every single year, but this year's been especially strange, and today, no exception. You had Benny Snell versus Cam Hayward and Calvin Austin versus TJ Watt. I think you might know who the favorites would be in those fights.
I know which way my money would be, and I probably wouldn't get very good odds on that either. All right, before we get started, why don't you tell the people about Lynn Testa and the fine folks over at Touring Plans?
Sure. Our sponsor of our training camp coverage, year in and year out. They've been with us for many, many years now. I want to say dating back to maybe 2016, 2017, but Len Test has been a really good friend and supporter of the site, and so is Touring Plans. If you're planning a trip to Disney, whether you're taking one next couple of weeks here, end of summer vacation, or trying to plan something for the winter time, the weather it was okay that today was obviously warm, but some of the rain came in. So sometimes you just want to kind of get away from it all. You want to go to touringplans.com and talk to those folks. They're going to help you with your itinerary and just kind of all the things you need to know to be a seasoned veteran, like some of the seasoned veterans we'll talk about on the practice field today.
All right, sounds good. And if anything, reach out on Twitter to Lynn Testa at Touring Plans and let him know you heard about him sponsoring the Terrible Podcast. We'd appreciate that. And obviously go to touringplans.com for all your travel needs. Okay, Alex, a little bit of housekeeping to start with. I think it's good news, bad news. Good news is it doesn't sound like there were any new injuries on Tuesday. The bad news is the list of players not practicing is growing.
Correct. It's a pretty long list. I don't think anything is super serious, but lines getting short at different positions. Running back Najee Harris not practicing after suffering that foot injury yesterday. Jeremy McNichols with a shoulder. Tomlin said that's still being evaluated, which is maybe not a great sign. Tight end Pat Freiermuth, it seems like he's going to be pretty close to coming back with that hamstring injury. Chase Claypool probably in a similar boat right now with that right shoulder. Miles Killebrew continues to miss time with the pec. No Marcus Allen and a hamstring. That should probably be at least several more days. Levi Wallace not practicing. I believe that's illness related, Mike Tomlin said. Also did not even see Carl Joseph on the field today. Usually he's first man down. I knew when I saw Millette first man down, I went, that's not right with Carl Joseph. So not sure what's up there. If he had to go back to Pittsburgh, if there's a personal thing, I do not know, but we'll certainly be watching for him tomorrow.
Okay, and did you hit Claypool and some of those other guys?
Yep, Claypool, Like I said, he's kind of working his way back. He was catching footballs today. Freiermuth was running at a pretty brisk speed, not full speed, but getting there. So those guys are working their way back. Yeah,
and Omar Khan, of course, met the media earlier in the day and seemed, it sounded like Alu and Fitzpatrick are close to getting out there. Your best guess, you think they wait until after Friday Night Lights and then, maybe after that, those guys make their debut? Or do you think we could see them by the end of the week?
It's always tough to gauge. There's a conditioning aspect to that you have to consider as well. I think if the Steelers had to play a game today, I guess Minka Fitzpatrick would be playing. Tyson, I might be a little less sure of. If you made me guess, I'll say Monday when they come back from their off day for those guys, but that's just a guess.
Okay. All right. Housekeeping out of the way. No moves, I don't think, to talk about today. We'll talk about what all Omar Khan had to say on the podcast on Wednesday morning there. We'll get right into the position groups and talk about the Tuesday practice there. Let's start again with the quarterback position. Kenny Pickett, I think, getting a large selection of the second team reps for a second consecutive day. It sounds like Mitch Trubisky with the group that he's working with in the first group is having problems finding the end zone in 7 shots. And I think I read a tweet there at the end of practice. Somebody asked you outright who the better quarterback was of the day. And you look at the Twitter machine, and I think a lot of the beat writers would probably choose Kenny Pickett. You, however, I think chose Mason Rudolph. Is that because you are now a known Kenny Pickett hater and former Mason Rudolph hater?
Well, I do have to say, unrelated, go Nittany Lions. I love my James Franklin, though. Yeah, the C's are angry at me for that. I have to remember that people will get mad if I don't say that Kenny Pickett is always the best.
Honesty is probably not the best policy.
That's funny. My quote of the day from George Carlin is, honesty may be the best policy, but it's important to remember that apparently by elimination, dishonesty is the second best policy. So that's funny that you brought that up today.
I would like to publicly scold you for so much clickbait material that you're putting out on the internet too.
I am sorry for the quarterback reps and stuff being clickbait. Anyway, to the conversation, I thought Pickett was okay today. This was not like a slight against Kenny Pickett. There are still things to work on. I thought Rudolph just had the best plays of the day. The touchdown to Miles Boykin in 7 shots, the lone rep that he got, he rolls right, looks in the right corner, nothing there, comes back to probably a second, third read, the Boykin on a crosser from the backside, a really strong throw right in front of an outstretched James Pierre hand. The play of the day, the big touchdown, 76 yards to maybe 79 even to Calvin Austin the third. That was just a money throw down the left sideline to beat Lyndon Stevens. A great throw by Mason Rudolph. So it's not like Pickett was terrible today. Pickett had some of his moments. He had a deep ball to Steven Sims, still a bit underthrown, but Sims came back to it and made the catch. Pickett did a couple decent things in 7 shots, had a touchdown to Jay Sternberger, although on a would-be sack, but still stepped up, climbed the pocket. Again, keeping his eyes downfield to me has been his biggest positive that I've seen so far from him. I thought Trubisky was pretty poor today overall. So it was not supposed to be a slight against Pickett, but I really don't know how you could say, based on the biggest plays of the day, they were made by Mason Rudolph, how Pickett could have the better day of those two guys.
Now, obviously, still early in camp, only 2 padded practices now. Where have you seen improvements in Kenny Pickett?
That's so tough to try to tell. I would say maybe a bit in terms of being able to throw on the run and some of the scrambling plays that he's made, maybe climbing up in the pocket a little bit more. I'd have to really kind of think about where some of that improvement's been. And like you said, it's only been, a handful of days still, and only 2 of them in pads. I've seen a lot of tuck and run with him, and that's not always on the quarterback. Sometimes it's just based on coverage or receivers not getting open, stuff like that. But I'm going to have to try to go back and compile how many quarterback scrambles I've had. They've all scrambled. Rudolph did at least once today. I think Trubisky as well. The defense has played well, but it feels like, again, Pickett is running more than the other quarterbacks, which generally means maybe you're not seeing things quite as quickly or as cleanly as the others.
What troubles you the most so far in these? Once again, it's a small subsection of practices, but what's troubling you the most about Mitch Trubisky so far?
I guess just maybe the lack of production recently, as you noted, and I think some other guys have tracked, that the 7 shots have not been productive. And it's not always based off of just did you score or not. Sometimes it's just based off, because Connor Hayward dropped some passes today, and that would have been touchdowns that, we're not on the quarterback. That might have been Kenny Pickett throwing it. I'll have to go back and check. But there's just kind of been some lulls, I guess, and maybe you'd like to see a bit more production and some throws that get completed down the field. It was a good start for Trubisky. Maybe he's kind of in a lull right now, but that's the ebb and flow of camp. So I'm not really troubled by it. Pickett had a tough start. He's kind of picked things up a little bit in a good direction. Rudolph's had good days, bad days. Trubisky had a good start. Maybe it's kind of cooling off a little bit. To me, that's just kind of how camp goes sometimes. So I'm not really troubled by anything. I just kind of recognize that there's going to be ups and downs during this process.
Okay. Anything else to add about the quarterback position?
Chris Oladokun still looking for that first rep. I don't know. I wonder if it'll happen. Obviously there really is no intention or plan to do it. I suppose injury would have to be the only way for that to be created. I'm not sure how you play this guy in a game right now either. If you haven't taken a snap at Saint Vincent, how are you going to take a snap at Acrisure Stadium or whatever road game they have this year against Detroit or whoever they're playing? I don't know how that guy is even evaluated right now besides just classroom and mental work. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay. Running back position, a couple guys out. there, obviously with Najee Harris being one of them. What do you got? We got Jaylen Warren continuing to be the one that's taking the advantage of things, right?
Yeah, I would say he's the guy that's benefited from the absences of McNichols and Harris the most. I'm going to also try to chart carries today, and he was not the starter, Warren was, but he was running, probably getting a good bulk of the snaps and the carries overall. Showed some burst on one run. It was a non-tackling session, but you saw him plant that right foot, cut and get upfield with kind of a lot of burst and that lower body that's so big that creates that explosion. So just like him, getting the reps, the opportunity, being available. Mike Tomlin talked about the importance of conditioning. And again, that's such a baseline but critical factor for all of these guys, especially young ones. Are you in good shape to handle the workload? We can talk about speed and technique and all that stuff, but if you're not properly conditioned, none of that other kind of stuff matters. If you're out of gas and throwing up into the Gatorade bucket on the side. So I don't know if his day was as good as it was yesterday, but I thought just the overall competitive nature, going full speed, did all right in some of the one-on-one running back, linebacker drills in terms of coverage and catching the football. Just really taking advantage of the opportunity is kind of what I've seen from Jaylen Warren.
All right. How about Benny Snell football and Benny Snell linebacker?
Yeah. Maybe this is old man Alex yelling at the cloud, but I don't know why they mess around with like Robert Spillane at receiver and Benny Snell at linebacker for a rep and just throw the ball to Spillane. I know it's just one rep, but they're all pretty valuable, and they've done that last year with like Cam Hayward catching passes. I don't get that. Snell, though, in that drill looked pretty good, and I get that is very much a drill tailored to the offense, but a great wheel route over Robert Spillane, beat UG3 on an out and up, and had a good catch there. So it's not like Snell was known as this great receiver. And so even though the drill is certainly slanted towards the offense having the advantage and all the space and time, I thought Snell did well catching the ball today.
All right, Mateo Durant, what's up with him? Are you trying to tell me that I need to get him out of my next 53-man roster projection probably?
I probably wouldn't have him on there. I mean, one play can change that. You make one house call in the preseason game, the dude has the speed, and I've kind of felt some of that speed to the edge a little bit so far. I've seen some more toss plays under Pat Meyer. That's a little note there to take away from some of the run stuff today. But he's kind of running back at the depth chart right now. So he'll get a chance, and he's getting some more chances with the injuries. But I think Warren, McFarland, Snell, obviously all ahead of Durant right now.
Did you have Durant on your 53 or on the practice squad?
I had him on my 53.
I mean, not Durant, Warren.
I had Warren. I think it was Warren there after the draft, and I switched to McFarland pre-training camp. But okay. Certainly, if you put Warren on there now, and I won't do one until after the first preseason game, which won't be for a little while, you'll be justified in putting Warren as that third back.
Okay, let's see. Tight ends still dealing with at least one short there in Frymouth. Connor Hayward with a couple of drops.
Yeah, he had what was it, a pivot route, or no, it was a stick route today that he just dropped, and that was, who was that from? Because people are gonna ask about that. That was from Trubisky. Yeah, it was Trubisky, and so that is some of the context when you hear about Trubisky hasn't put the ball in the end zone for a touchdown in 7 shots. Some of that's not his fault, and that's where the stats and the context kind of all have to kind of come together. I just wish there was more with that group. Zach Gentry did not have a great day yesterday. He had a double catch today, so maybe it hasn't quite been as good in pads for Zach Gentry, but nothing I'm too terribly concerned about.
Okay, let's see, offensive line.
What do I have?
A couple drills today, right?
What do you mean by that? No line, D-line type stuff?
O-line, D-line stuff, right?
Yeah, Kevin Dotson, Cam Hayward had some good battles overall. John LeGlue, DeMarvin Leal were going at it literally. They were fighting by the end of the end of that session. They were kind of going after it, just mad at each other for whatever happened during that rep. Chris Wormley's done well against James Daniels for the second straight day, so I was looking for a bit more out of James Daniels in that setting. Other than that, Dan Moore, some good battles with Alex Highsmith. Highsmith got him once on a spin move to the inside and team, but Highsmith, Moore did okay in some of the one-on-one type stuff. So those guys, I think 2 younger guys that are battling really hard, just trying to make each other better.
Man, I sure hope we get preseason all 22 again this year, because that's the best way to look at those guys, especially before the season starts and all like that. And normally we don't get that stuff during the preseason, but I think we were able to last year I sure hope we get it again, man, because it sure is hard to break that stuff down. I know from the angle that you're at, and even watching from the regular TV angle, you just don't see the same stuff there. Okay, what else? Wide receivers.
Yeah, maybe a little bit less there today. It felt like some of the cornerbacks were making plays in the football. Boykin had a nice snag in that 7-shot series that I mentioned earlier. Obviously, Calvin Austin showing his speed, and it was good to see that in like a receiver route. It wasn't a jet play or a pop pass or something like that where Austin turned the corner. It was him running a vertical route, go route down the left sideline, showing that speed and burning Lyndon Stevens, who I get is not making this team, but you still kind of saw that speed, the tracking, and then the finish there. Tyler Snead got some praise from Frisman Jackson in the receiver stock block drill. Been a lot of emphasis on receiver run blocking. Now that stock block drills happens every single year, so that wasn't brand new, but saw even in some of the positional drills, they're working on run blocking. They were on the sleds yesterday. They're hitting bags today. And Tyler Snead burying Chris Steele, who's getting a lot of coaching from Grady Brown. So small guy, playing big. You have to respect that.
Calvin Austin III lost 5 years today, didn't he?
Twitter had fun with that one. I'm sorry. I'm trying to tweet and note and watch and everything. But with that hit, I mean, it wasn't a hard hit, but TJ Watt comes at you. It's a good way to lose 5 years. So,
I believed it. I thought it was, I thought it was legit. I wish somebody could knock me back 5 years. I think for sure. But obviously you meant 5 yards. I think everybody got it, but I think a lot of people also had fun with it as well too.
Yeah. Well, you try to fight TJ Watt, he'll knock you back 5 years for sure. You start swinging. Austin might have even swung. I'm not 100% sure, but I don't know why you pick a fight with TJ Watt. That's the last guy you want to mess with.
Got little man syndrome. I like it.
I guess a little bit, yeah. But you don't touch the quarterbacks. Don't touch TJ Watt. That's my philosophy.
All right, Pickens. Anything overly stick out with him today?
Some of the targets were well defended by Keller Witherspoon. I didn't see it personally, but I had somebody sitting next to me yesterday say that Frisch Jackson was kind of getting on Pickens for not doing a great job in some of the blocking aspect in some regard. I don't know if that was in team or one of the drills or whatever the case was, but I know that Pickens did a good job with some of the stock blocking stuff today. And so you kind of see that guy take to coaching. Frisman Jackson knows he's going to be a really good blocker. He's shown that a little bit already in camp. And so maybe after a lull there, maybe a missed moment yesterday, you come back and really attack things today. So I think he takes to coaching well, and that's important because he's still a pretty raw player in some aspects, and he'll have to get worked up. But I think they have a really good coach in Frizz, who's really loud, really vocal, a great teacher. Blaine Stewart's a good coach as well, and Pickens seems to be a guy that's willing to learn, get better, and make a mistake, but not make it twice. And that's the important thing. You make it once, you get better, and you move on.
All right, who's flashing on defensive line today, Tuesday?
What do I have here in my notes? Cam Hayward, like I said, getting in that fight with Benny Snell, had a really good spin move. You don't see the Cam Hayward spin move too often. Usually it's during the summer. I know he works on that with Chuck Smith a little bit, but had some good battles with Dotson. I got to give Isaiah Lattimore credit. The last 2 days I've seen him really focus on some power rushes. He had a push-pull yesterday to win. He worked some power rushes again today against, I want to say Kendrick Green. Maybe it was somebody else, but I've seen Lattimore kind of really focus on power, and I've said this for a long time, and I'll continue to say it, Dave. You know that if he wants to win as a pass rusher, it's got to be about power. Right. Bull rush, push, pull. Don't do all the cross chops he was doing last year, all these finesse moves and swipes. He's not athletic enough. He's not bendy enough to do that kind of stuff. Collapse the pocket, make the quarterback move, get off his spot, run into the linebackers, run into TJ Watt, run into Alex Highsmith. That's going to be his ticket. So if he focuses on that, that's going to be the way to make him a valuable sub-package player.
We haven't talked a lot about Montrevius Adams since in these first several days. Is that because he's kind of buried in the middle of the line and hard to see and hard to report on, or what?
It's a little bit of that. There was one play. He was lined up as a base nose tackle, and he had a quick first step, caught in the backfield, made McFarland change directions and not go the path that he wanted to. So you're seeing some of the stuff that you saw last year. Again, working first-team nose tackle with Alu out, working kind of a second team defensive tackle rotating in. I think he's, had a good start, and, certainly you feel better about that nose tackle room with Alu, still sidelined.
All right. Let's see. Outside linebackers. Give me an update on Jannard Avery, the pass rusher.
I'm glad you asked. That was the one guy circled today. Avery, and I was watching some of the O-line, D-line stuff, and I went, man, Jannard Avery is really bendy. Was he that bendy coming out of Memphis? I checked his 3-cone time, 6.90. So that checks that box there. He can really turn the corner well. For being a guy that's a little stockier and heavier, he really can turn the corner with good hip and knee and ankle flexibility there. And so I've seen him be able to beat Joe Haig a couple of times there. So I think Avery's made some plays. Delonte Scott made some plays today. Again, a really good battle in those backup linebacker spots, both inside and out, as guys try to fight for their literal, football lives.
I tell you, I just was not overly impressed with him, or haven't been impressed with him as a pass rusher off the edge during his Eagles tape and all. I think that bends there. I think if he wins, that's how he wins. It's just the speed to power type, stuff. And, I don't think he's really, for someone his size, I think he probably got to have a pretty good rip move to win. And he just, I didn't see a lot of that on his Eagles tape as well. But then you see others out here tweeting, he's got a great long arm and all like that. I mean, this is a guy that if he's going to be the number 3, and right now it looks like he is, he's going to have to win as a pass rusher.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're going to be playing 20, 25 snaps a game. And it's not like where Pittsburgh plays their pass rushers, their stars on third down. They rotate out on series or after X amount of plays. And so you may find yourself in a 3rd and 7 situation, and Avery's on the field, and he's the one who has to get after it. So I think it's been a good start overall. How does that translate into games is always the question. There are those camp superstars. Anthony Chickillo would have always like the best camps of anybody in that group. And then his, regular season would all be kind of nondescript. But the traits there with Avery, can you put it together? That'll be the key.
I can envision us having a preseason week 1 film room on Jannard Avery.
I feel like that's you're going to speak that into existence.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, any other outside linebackers? Delonte Scott making some noise, isn't he?
Yeah, he's had 2 good back-to-back days in terms of run session. Getting up blocks on the front side, chasing the ball backside. Some of the backs on or O-line, D-line stuff today, and especially yesterday, the backs on backers. He was excellent against Zach Gentry. So again, I talked about him as being a guy that got signed. After the summer last year, he was signed. I don't know, week 1, week 3, whatever time period that was. You kind of try to catch that moving train. That could be tough to do, both on a professional and a personal level. New city, new apartment. A lot of stuff going on. You have a full off season now, full OTA, full spring session, a full training camp. A lot of times guys look better. Anthony Miller looking better. Mike Tomlin spoke about that last week. So I'm sure just being able to have stability and comfort in knowing what situation you're in, not bouncing into a situation, is doing Delonte Scott a lot of good right now.
All right, inside linebacker. I have a feeling I know it's going to be a UG3 day.
Yes, that's UG. It's YES for UG3 because it was a really good day, I thought, for him. Had an interception in that linebacker running back drill. That was him kind of jumping an out route by Anthony McFarland, picking that off. 2 breakups in team. Had a good angle to the football to blow up a screen to, I think it was Benny Snell, left side there. So another guy that's trying to state his case into that backup inside linebacker. And talk about Mark Robinson. Obviously, Marcus Allen is there injured right now. Buddy Johnson fighting as well. I think the competition and Brian Flores is bringing the best out of that entire group.
Talk to me about Buddy Johnson.
It's just been quiet, and maybe I'm missing stuff. I'm sure I'm missing some stuff. He had some battles with McFarland yesterday. Good bull rush to beat him once. McFarland got him the second time. I'm just not seeing a ton that's sticking out. We'll see. I mean, it's kind of been quiet. I feel like I haven't learned a ton about Buddy Johnson, a year plus into his career, but the games will hopefully tell us some more.
What are your early thoughts on Devin Bush through 6 practices?
I think it's been fine. I feel like there's nothing that's been super terrible or super great. And I will say, and I understand, like I mentioned earlier, in that drill one-on-one against the running backs and tight ends, or really it was running backs and fullbacks, not the tight ends today, that it's tailored for the offense. It's hard for the defenders to look good, but I thought maybe Devin Bush would do more. I felt like he was just losing quickly and easily every single time. And sometimes that's a guy who runs a 5-yard out, and you can't do a lot about that, but you saw the other guys, occasionally compete. Mark Robinson made a play. UG3 made a play. Spillane had some good coverage for some tough throws. With Bush, it was kind of pretty easy. And I don't mean to be hypercritical of that, but I did kind of leave that drill going. Can you just make at least one play be close to something just to make it interesting for one rep? And I didn't really get that today from Devin Bush.
Okay. Anything else on the front?
That's about it, I think. Some more base snaps there with Mondo at nose tackle, Liao left defensive end, Latimore ran first team right defensive end, the last team session with Hayward not participating, so not a big surprise there, I suppose. And still waiting on Larry Ogunjobi to work in team.
All right, cornerbacks.
Yeah, I thought really good days for Cam Sutton and Kelly Witherspoon. Both had multiple breakups. Sutton had 1 in 7 shots. He had a diving breakup on Anthony Miller and team. Witherspoon had some really good coverage on George Pickens today. And Sutton's had a good camp. I haven't talked about him enough, and so that's on me. But I've heard really no one give Sutton his due in terms of having a really solid, steady camp, just in the way that he had a good camp last year against Chase Claypool, some good matchups this year. Sutton has had against George Pickens, against Anthony Miller. James Pierre maybe cooling off a little bit. He's been so close. I mean, he's been so close to some of these breakups the last couple of days, including one today, diving for that 1 in 7 shots the Boykin caught for the touchdown. So it's a reminder of how little margin for error there is in the NFL. A couple inches can be the difference between a guy not being talked about or talked about negatively versus a guy that's getting praised the way that Pierre was getting praised last week.
How about some of them younger guys we were talking about in the first couple of days without the pads, and Chris Steele and Platel?
Yeah, Steele, it's probably been quieter, hasn't really made a lot of plays, struggled in that stock blocking drill. So you're right. You know, without the pad, some guys look good. Remember Steven Denmark last year? It looked really good, long, lean guy. Then he faded. Didn't make it to the final roster cuts. He was cut, midway through. Maybe a little same thing there with Chris Steele. Platel was getting some extra work today in the slot. I haven't seen a whole lot positive or negative from him. Maybe Steele's fading just a little bit.
Okay, safeties.
Yeah, don't have a whole lot there today. Just a lot of opportunity. I mean, the safety lines are getting kind of thin too. No Mika, no Miles, no Carl Joseph today. Assuming if Joseph can't get back soon, if Mika's going to be out a couple more days, you may want to make a move there as well, because you're down to Casey and Edmonds, Norwood and Steiner, and I think that's it. Am I missing anyone from the safety group? So you got pretty short lines there right now, and so we'll see what happens there. But that's a good opportunity for Casey to continue to get reps, and 2 young guys in Trey Norwood and Donovan Steiner to get a lot of playing time.
I think Brian Batko tweeted out right when we got on that he remembers that Carl Joseph is expecting his second child any day now. So maybe him being absent is related to that, not injury.
I would assume so. The question just really is, when will he get back? I mean, obviously you respect that, but deciding, do you sign a safety for a couple days when Minka's going to come back? When maybe they won't, then if they feel like they can go 2-3 more days with just the 2 lines there and kind of just deal with it.
All right. Tell me about the Davis twins and some special team stuff.
Well, I got to be careful. I talk about special teams. People are going to yell at me here for too much information. Carlos did this last year on kind of the kick coverage work. Did he ever do it in a game, even preseason? Obviously, he was hurt during the regular season. I don't think he did it then. But doing some kick coverage work, seeing with Khalil Davis. So big guys, but good athletes. I know that's kind of funny to talk about. Defensive linemen chasing down kicks and punts, but Brett Kiesel did that early in his career. Henry Mondeau has done it recently. Somebody reminded me Orpheus Roy did that at one point in his Steelers career. So not, the first thing ever. And if you can just try to create more value for yourself as a big guy, if Danny Smith tells you to do it, you do it. And you just kind of hope that creates some more value for yourself, whether that is stayed on the 53 or making at least the practice squad.
All right. Anything else stick out special teams wise?
I want them to start punting, man. I mean, in terms of like the full punts, I haven't really seen. They didn't kick today. I mean, they're going through some drills. I have some notes there, but it's kind of piecemeal together. So I don't have a whole lot else there for you guys.
All right. Give me an overreaction of the day for Tuesday, August the 2nd, that we can either hang you by the tongue later or go back and praise you for.
Well, it felt like me saying Mason was the best quarterback today is apparently like death by firing squad. I still don't understand why that's a big. I don't think it's debatable, to be honest. That Mason Rudolph with it. I guess the negative for Rudolph was some of the exchange issues. He had a fumble, and I don't know whose fault it was exactly, with Nate Gilliam on a under center exchange there, and then there was a mesh point with Jalen Warren when the ball hit the ground. Rudolph fell on top of it, so I don't know if it was on him or Warren or some other unknown issue, but in terms of actually being a passer, I thought Rudolph was the best. To go back to Latrobe, I like him maybe focusing on that power stuff. That's a really encouraging sign. He'll have to continue with that, and it's still going to be a crowded room. But I think you just have to know who you are and be honest about your evaluation and say, listen, I'm not Stephon Tuitt. I'm not Cam Hayward. I'm not DeMarvin Leal. I'm not going to win with finesse and my quick first step. I'm a big, strong dude that's going to win by just trying to push the pocket back. And if you kind of understand who you are and base your game around that, you're going to be the best player possible. And I'm kind of seeing some flashes of that with Isaiah Lattimore.
All right. So what would technically be your overreaction of the day statement?
Yeah, I'm encouraged by the progress Isaiah Lattimore is making as a pass rusher. That's the one sentence for you.
Okay. All right. That sounds good. All right. What else do we have? Anything else we need to clean up here?
I think that's it overall. But yeah, the big play of the day, and I believe it's on Twitter because these they're going to be live streamed soon. I assume because the way that people are tweeting this stuff out. But Calvin Austin,
Burt Lawton's going crazy.
They cracked down on that last year. I don't know if they're not doing it this year. They just kind of gave up or what. I mean, whatever. People do whatever they want to do. But I know I would love to tweet. People ask me, "Where's the video?" I'm sorry, I can't tweet it.
We're already enough hot water with them.
Yeah, I'll be put in SVC jail, and they will have to bail me out. So sorry about that, but I know that play is out there. So there you go.
All right. With that, what are you looking forward to on Wednesday?
I don't really go into days thinking about what I want to look forward to. I have just checklists for injuries and maybe if I want to see where like Connor Hayward's lining up. So I really don't know for sure what I'm looking for. Maybe the offense doing better in 7 shots, winning a session. The defense has kind of been winning 4-3 and 5-2 repeatedly. So the offense kind of getting back on track would probably be a good goal for them.
How good is this defense so far? And I know it's against, missing some people on that side and all, and new people on the offensive side and all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been good. It's hard to gauge it. I was asked today in an interview, do I think the Steelers will be better than what people think? It's just too early. I'm not saying they won't. I'm not saying they will. I'm just kind of taking it day by day. One other random quick note. Don't false start because new offensive line coach Pat Myers is going to make you run a lap, essentially. Joe Haig false start during 7 shots, had to run the other way to the opposite goal line and then come back. And so that's something that didn't happen before, but it's kind of I think the Giants used to do that. If you do that kind of stuff, you're going to be penalized for it. So do not false start under new offensive line coach Pat Meyer.
Man, we got football coming in a couple of days. You know it?
Is it? When's the Hall of Fame game? What's the date on that?
It's a couple of days, right? Isn't it Thursday?
Is it? I don't even know what day today is. So
today would be Tuesday. Let me pull up just to make sure I don't get this wrong here because people get on me about that. Let's see. Hall of Fame game, August the 4th. 8 p.m. Eastern time. So nice. About 20 less than 48 hours from now, we'll have Jaguars Raiders in the Hall of Fame game. So you're gonna have to pedal your bicycle home quick and and us get this thing knocked out so we can watch that. But all right. In the meantime, follow Alex on Twitter. Alex, you're doing great work, by the way. You don't need me to tell you that. But you know it. Everybody listening knows it. Everybody reading knows it. It's phenomenal. The picture that you paint in those posts, and I know we can't cover everything in a 35-minute special edition of the podcast, and a lot of it's kind of repeated in anyway there. But fantastic job, and people, if you get a chance, go by SteelersDepot.com. Should be stickied up at the top of the page. The daily diaries from Alex Kozora. You can follow Alex on Twitter at Alex_Kozora. Follow me at Steelers Depot. Shout out to Tim Rice taking some amazing shots. As well too, and we were making sure we were tweeting those out as well. So follow me at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. Alex and I will turn around first thing in the morning. Another episode of the Terrible Podcast. Try to keep that around 45 minutes. Probably won't talk too much about training camp in that one there. We'll talk about what Omar Khan had to say and yada, yada, yada. So within that, as always, thanks for listening to another special edition of the Terrible Podcast, Pittsburgh Steelers Training Camp 2022 with Dave and Alex.